Let's bring in our first guest. The pregame show is over. It's time for the main events. Our first guest tonight's a BYU grad with his pulse on the world when it comes to the Olympics. In addition to his successful business background, he served as the COO and CFO of the Salt Lake Organizing Committee in Utah's 2002 Winter Games. He's the current president and CEO of the Salt Lake City Committee for the Games, which expects to bring the Winter Games back to Utah in 2034. It's our pleasure to welcome Fraser Bullock to the Wise Guys. We have been looking forward to this.
Yes.
Good to have you here.
It's wonderful to be here. Thanks for what you do. This reaches so many people who have BYU in their athletic heart that they want to see and experience. So thank you, Dave and Blaine, for what you do.
Let's get right to it.
We appreciate that.
If you were a fortune teller, which scenario is most likely? Utah gets the games for 2034 or BYU defeats Oklahoma State on October 18th at LaVell Edwards Stadium?
I would say both. That's what I'm counting on.
Let's count on
So
it.
you're saying that this is a lock for both. I like this.
There we go.
I like this. Hey, when you look at college sports today, Dave and I were just talking about some of these crazy things that are coming out this week. Players can get paid now. Schools can put sponsorships on the actual field. That's a done deal now. On jerseys, they can have sponsors. And conferences evidently can sell their birthrights to corporations, which we had never even thought of before this last week. Everything is for sale, it seems like. Is this a good thing?
Well, what it does is bring revenue into the system. And if it's done responsibly, that reflects the values of the conference or the school, then that those economics can go to players, they can go to coaches, they can go to enhancing facilities, enhancing the experience for the fans who come to the stadiums. So if it's done responsibly, I think it's great. The problem is right now it's the Wild West.
Yes.
And everybody's trying to figure it out. So it's going to take a minute for things to settle down and people like Brett Yormark to figure it out.
You deal with the corporate end on a great deal, especially in attracting business to the Olympics. From the corporate side, looking at college sports versus the NFL or Major League Baseball, whatever, is that where you want to be? Is it still, if you are representing Allstate, do you want a connection with collegiate sports right now?
Yeah, I think it has a good appeal to it because it's exciting, it's new, and you've got new athletes coming into the system that can surprise you, and schools that can surprise you, like BYU in basketball last year. Where did that happen? And where did that come from? And so I think the element of the unknown and the new is kind of a good product for companies to associate with.
You know, last week, the International Olympic Committee Future Host Commission voted to award the 2034 Olympics to Utah. Does that mean it's a done deal at this point, or is there more work that needs to be done for this to be official?
We're right at the finish line.
So we're on the 1 yard line ready to score.
1 yard line. Yeah, and I think we're going to do the tush push right into the
Don't
end.
throw a pass.
Yeah.
Do not throw a pass.
No, where we are is last week the IOC Executive Board listened to the Future Host Commission proposal to advance Utah for the 2034 Games to the full membership of the IOC to vote on July 24th in Paris. So we'll be there right before the games. We'll make our presentation, and then they'll ask us questions. And this is about 3 a.m. Utah time. And then they'll vote. And if they vote, we'll sign the contract right there, and the games are ours.
Wow. Who goes with you to this? We know it's you, and you're going to lead this thing up, but who else is part of that? Is there a huge committee, or is it you and just a few?
Well, we have the governor and his family, Mayor Mendenhall, Jenny Wilson, and Speaker Schultz and President Adams, and so all the political leaders, but then we have many business leaders. We have a delegation of over 100 people.
Okay. Wow.
Because we want people to, this is a special moment. And we even have one special guest who's coming, who's going to be later on your show, who will be part of our delegation in Paris.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
Is it, just so I can draw a mental picture here, so we're at the 1 yard line. But there's really no defense, right? We're lining up to run a play from the 1 yard line, but no one's trying to stop us, right? There's no like, hey, France could come in with a linebacker and knock us 3 yards back. So you've been working so hard on this. We're just right there.
Yes, even though we're on the 1 yard line, there's no opposing team because
that's good. You just can't fumble.
We're the designated preferred host for 2034. We're the only ones. There's some work that's still going on in the background that we have to finalize before July 24th. But then the full membership, 110 people from around the world, will hear us and hear our story and hear how compelling Utah is to host the game. So we're excited to do that.
Not that long ago, I heard some talk about not only the 2034 games, but there was some talk about maybe they'd pick a few sites that were set up to host Winter Olympics and make them permanent rotating sites. Is that still a possibility, or has that gone by the wayside?
That's still a possibility. It's on hold right now because the IOC has enough candidates really through 2038 to host the games. But the challenge is which sites around the world have the infrastructure, because the IOC wants venues and are climate reliable. And by 2050, about 50% of the countries that have hosted the Winter Games in the past can no longer host them.
Oh, wow.
But we are climate reliable way past 2050, probably into 2080. So we are unique in that. So, Blaine, we could very well be a candidate that has multiple games in our future.
Well, Pioneer Day.
You were in Sochi, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't climate reliable.
No, I was in shorts. I was doing my live shots in shorts.
That wasn't climate reliable.
They made all the snow.
When Fraser was saying that, I just thought, Dave was in shorts over there in Sochi for a Winter Olympics, right?
Yeah, and they spent $55 billion to do it. And I saw your budget is under 5, and it doesn't require any public money.
And it'll be better.
How are you pulling that off? How are you pulling that off when all these other countries can't even come close?
Well, we've got great infrastructure, plus we have a different business model. A lot of them require government money, but we finance our games from the IOC contribution, from commercial sponsorships like Delta, and from tickets and hospitality. So in other countries, they have a debate, are we going to use public money to host games? Here we don't have that debate. And our budget overall, including the USOPC share, is about $4 billion. The games operation budget is $2.83 billion.
Yeah.
And we'll do just fine.
Wow. That's just amazing.
And
efficiency.
It's not about breaking even, because I saw your future plans. You want to make money on these games to then turn around and finance the Olympic programs that already exist in the state.
Exactly. One of the things that we did after 2002, we left behind $76 million to support those venues that need help. And so for those specialized venues, a lot of them go into disrepair around the world. Ours are thriving because we left that money behind, but we need to re-up that because they're running out of money. But we want to put in a permanent endowment for sport so that if we want to do those games again in 2050 or beyond, they're there. The venues are there.
We'll plug and play. I love it.
Fraser Bullock, the president and CEO of the Salt Lake City, Utah Committee for the Games, is on the Wise Guys tonight, presented by Brady Plus. Let's get personal here for a few minutes. How satisfying is this moment for you when you consider back in 2002, you and Mitt Romney and the guys inherited the bribery scandal aftermath and then literally saved the games. And then they were so successful. But this time you've been involved from day one, all on the up and up. There's no scandal that you have to do damage control from. And here you are to get the games again. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot because actually right after our games, I came to the realization that there's huge value in the Olympic movement and Paralympic movement and what they can do for the world. And I'll tell you a quick anecdote in a moment. But I started then. So I've been at this for 22 years in terms of serving as a volunteer for the International Olympic Committee, the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, various other hosts for the games. I helped Sochi a little bit. Torino, Vancouver, Rio, all trying to work towards this moment because I believe there is huge value in the Olympic movement. It's an opportunity to use that initiative as a catalyst for good. Because what we see is our citizens become unified. They all want to host and come together. And how do you get anybody unified around anything these days? We can do it around the games. And one anecdote that I'll just share, I have so many, but one of the things I got to do, and you talked about the torch. So I had the opportunity just before Christmas in 2001 to run the torch relay. And I was back in the New York area, and we went to Philadelphia, and then we went to Washington, D.C. Remember, this is right after 9/11.
Yeah.
Just a few weeks, a couple of months. And we went to the White House. There was a ceremony on the White House lawn. President Bush was there. And Liz Howell comes in carrying the torch relay. Her husband was the Let's Roll guy. Mm-hmm. And then I was on a bus in Staten Island, and everybody on the bus was going to run the torch. There were about 12 of us. And we all went around and told our story. Why were we there? And we all go around, and here's our tie. The last person almost couldn't talk. He's a young man, about 35, and he says, well, I'm a firefighter, and I lost my entire crew. And everybody just lost it on the bus. And then we go, I run the torch relay, and then we get on a ferry that takes us past the Statue of Liberty, and it's at night. We have the torch, and we have 12 women on there, all lost their husbands on 9/11. And so the games became a unifying opportunity to bring the world together in a very unique setting. And the power of that, and I remember opening ceremonies, and in comes the flag from the Twin Towers. And what a moment that was for the entire world to heal. So there is good that comes from the games. It unifies the world. It can unify communities, all under the umbrella of sport and bringing the world together. That's why I love the games. That's why I've made this a life purpose for me. And that's why I'm so excited about 2034.
What is it about sport, especially Olympics? Dave uses the term, we get a timeout when the Olympics come from all of this conflict around the world. And it seems like, I don't know, in my lifetime, I can't remember a time when there seems like there's more going on than there is right now. Yet sports brings everyone together, and especially Olympic Games. Why does it do that? What is it about sport, especially Olympic Games, that has everybody kind of put things aside and just, as Dave says, have a timeout for a few weeks?
It's really, that's a beautiful description, because it is a timeout. Because what we do is we see these athletes from around the world. We can cheer on our own, and they're so inspirational in terms of the things they can accomplish. And I remember in Sochi watching Ted Ligety win his gold medal in the GS in horrible conditions, and he wins that, and I just said, oh my gosh, that inspires me to do better. And in our games, we had the theme, Light the Fire Within. Yeah. And so sport and human achievement can inspire us to do better. So it does all of that. But the other thing the games does, in our case, we'll have 100 countries. We'll all be together. And we'll see them on the streets every night when we're downtown. We'll have an Olympic Village with athletes from all over the world together, spending time together, getting to know each other. There's the unity opportunity that the games bring that's unlike anything else.
I interviewed Ligety after he won that, and he was so humbled. It's just the whole thing. Once you're in it, it's you know, and in the sports over here, we win and we beat our chest and blah blah blah. Over there, it was winning, but it was winning in a humble way on foreign soil, where everyone appreciated the time. He zipped down the hill that fast. He's the best, and it was fun to see him kind of just bask in that moment. Who gets those moments?
He's wonderful. I went skiing with him this winter up at Snow Basin. We were inspecting the downhills.
See if it's still okay, right?
Oh boy, he's at a whole. I thought I was a good skier. He's at a whole different.
You are
level.
a good skier. We're going to ask you about that.
Yeah, you are good. You're
a little bit.
Dave and I play golf once in a while with some former PGA and senior PGA. And once in a while, I act like, I think I'm right there. And then I get humbled really quickly.
Yeah. October 1st, 2002, you spoke at a BYU devotional, which you can find on YouTube. I watched it 2 days ago. It's great. The talk's called Light the Fire Within, talking about that theme. And your running message was, we all get knocked down. What matters is what you do next. And then you cited several Olympians and their experience who did just that. When it comes to these games, how do you describe the fire within you that has kept you on this quest? There's there's the camaraderie and all of that stuff that you talked about a moment ago. But this is personal for you.
It's very personal because we all want to do good in the world. You have your platforms that you have that bring good and hope to people. This is my platform. And I just got lucky because Mitt pulled me into it when it was a time of trouble. I had no plans to be part of the Olympic movement. He pulled me in. It was an incredibly difficult experience. But at the end, it was so beautiful and so successful. It pulled me in and I said, okay, this is my life's purpose, or one of my life's purposes. And I want to do this and bring the games back. And here we are right on the cusp of that.
Yeah, fantastic.
And going with that theme, your Olympic moment, or maybe we'll call it a better phrase, your bounce back moment, wasn't with the Olympics. It came during the spring of 2015. You were knocked down by a heart attack that you had as you were driving in rush hour traffic. In what ways has that life-threatening challenge impacted the last 9 years of your life?
Well, unbeknownst to me, I have a severe genetic blood disorder, and I was a ticking time bomb. So the bomb went off. And after I went through that experience, I found out I have heart failure permanently, half my heart's dead. And I thought, what is my life going to be like? We all get knocked down. I'm not unique. We all have it. And so for me, I went into a pretty deep depression for a little while because I said, can I even ski again? What's life going to be like with half a heart? Of course, my financial colleague said, you have half a heart. No, that's a different thing. But I went through that, but then, because I thought I'm in good shape. I'm not that old. Why did this happen to me? So I felt like I was the unluckiest man in the world. I flipped it around and I discovered I had to pull myself out of that. And I said, you know what? I'm the luckiest man in the world because I should be dead. A widowmaker artery, 100% blockage, I should be dead. I'm the luckiest man in the world. And I came out of that with 3 sayings that I use with my ski group, which are every day is a gift, enrich relationships with kindness, and give meaningful service. And so I try to live by that every single day.
I love that. I love that.
We did see that among your claims to fame is hitting a ski speed of 79.9 miles an hour. Is that true?
If my wife isn't listening, yes, that's true.
The world record, by the way, is 158 if you Google it. So
was that on the downhill at Snow Basin?
No, it was actually at Park City. You know, the problem is there's this app called Ski Tracks, and it tracks your speed, and you want to go faster and faster, and there's this competition, but my wife has put a speed limit on me of 60.
60?
So now we cap
so
out under
60 still seems like that's pretty liberal. Like, that's okay.
Look,
like she's going to let you go 60.
79, you're out on the freeway, you're going 80. 79 on 2 skis on a bunch of ice.
Yeah.
What are you, nuts?
I was. And so I've changed. My wife brought me into reason, and but I love to ski. I love to be on the mountain.
I used to ski with a retired orthopedic surgeon, 80 years old. He would get off of the lift, turn and point them downhill, and go. And I would just go, what are you doing? And he said, you know, at some point I'm going to crash, and there's going to be pieces of me all over the mountain, and I don't care. I know a lot of good guys that can put me back together. And that was his philosophy. He's like, I'm going to live life to the fullest. I was like, okay, I'm going to make some turns.
There we go. It's all beautiful.
No live stream. Greetings from Canesville, the origination point of the Mormon Battalion. Where's Canesville at?
Canesville's west of, like, it's out near Roy in that area, out on the west side of I-15 north. Right. Yeah, awesome. It's a good place. It used to be all farmland, but it's grown out there. Like, dairy farms have been replaced with subdivisions. So there you go.
Welcome
Canesville.
to the Wise Guys.
Yeah. Hey, you earned your bachelor's degree at BYU in 1978. Your MBA in 1980. So while you were doing all that, we were talking before we came on the show. This was, I'm gonna call it the Camelot time of BYU, because you were there with Danny Ainge and Jim McMahon and Gifford Nielsen, Tina Gunn, Bobby Clampett was out on the links. Marie Osmond was there, has been on the show and talked about her experience during that time. How magical was that time at BYU?
Boy, we were spoiled. And I remember, because I always wanted to get great tickets, and the way I was able to succeed in school is you could wait in line inside the Marriott Center. And so I'd take all my books and everything and study for hours in the Marriott Center to try and get front row seats. And it was magical because I went to everything, football and basketball and it was just a dream come true.
What a time.
What was it? And you were here for Krešimir Ćosić, your freshman year,
Yes.
72. We were just talking about Yegor Demin, the new Russian kid coming, biggest European basketball signing since
Ever.
Krešimir,
But
maybe
since
even more
Krešimir,
so. Which goes along with the theme, enter to learn, go forth to serve, and the world's our campus. You see that on campus, and you were there amidst all of that, and then you went out. Now you spent most of your life bringing the world back to Utah. But on the basketball note, this kid from Russia and getting him to BYU seems to be the culmination of everything.
Well, Kevin Young coming to town was a tectonic shift.
Yeah.
That I don't think where I was in despair when Mark left, and I said, what the heck is going to happen now? And all of a sudden we have this tectonic shift, and now we're in a whole new world where there was a unique set of circumstances that could elevate our school, particularly in basketball, to the next level. So I'm just thrilled to see. I can't wait for the season to start and see how Kevin's going to put all this together.
And we were like, and we're on the inside, like we're there close to the program. We didn't know who Kevin Young was. I've heard the name, but didn't know that he was a candidate. And on this show, Steve Cleveland sat right in that chair and said, hey, I got to tell you, there's a guy out there named Kevin Young. And we said, and we've heard of him. Tell us about him. He goes, I don't know. I think BYU should go after him and have a conversation with him. And a week later, there were conversations. And about 3 days after that, he was the head coach. And you could say that Yegor is the highest rated recruit ever to come here, because Danny Ainge became a great player and he was a big time recruit. Ćosić was one of the greatest players that ever played in Europe. But coming in, nobody was projecting those two as lottery picks. He's projected as a lottery pick before he even gets there. What a dramatic change in just that quick a time. It's crazy, isn't it?
Well, it's what's the value proposition to these young men? What they see, number one, is a great school, great academics. Number two, they see a coach who has operated at a totally different level than anybody else in the collegiate ranks. Anybody. And to be able to get somebody like that to go from the NBA to BYU is like the steal of the century. And I'm just thrilled that Kevin felt it within his purpose in life to come here and elevate this program. So we're blessed to be the beneficiaries of him coming here.
Isn't it interesting, as Travis Hansen was with us, and he played ball over in Russia for a good part of his European career. He was on last week and we were talking about Yegor, and then we asked the question, because Yegor's parents both played basketball growing up. We said, well, you talked to his parents. Did Vladimir know Krešimir Ćosić or know of him of all these years? And he goes, everyone does over there in Eastern Europe. Isn't it amazing the impact a sports person who's a good person can have?
What a great ripple effect, because Krešimir Ćosić was very engaging. Everybody loved him. And then he went back to his home and had such a big impact. Unfortunately, he died young. But what an impact he had, and we're still feeling it even today.
Yeah.
Amazing.
On our live stream, Eric, by the way, over in the Singapore says, love ski tracks, but it too does encourage pushing unsafe speeds. And then Glenn from the Philippines, I had a similar heart attack. Would love to know your treatment regimen that I could use in the Philippines. Glenn, if you'll send us your email address, we'll get you his email address.
I've become an expert in hearts.
Yeah.
And I'd be delighted to talk to him and share information.
Yeah, send us your email, Glenn, and we'll have Fraser send you some info on what he's been able to do to. Look at this guy. He looks tremendous.
Yeah. Looks like you could hit 80 down the slope.
He wasn't ever a Grinch, but because the Grinch, remember, his heart had to grow 3 sizes that day. When Fraser's has always been big, so his half a heart is as big as anybody's whole heart typically. So.
Thank you.
You mentioned that we got Jimmer coming on later. We've mentioned that as well.
Minutes, yeah.
So he's actually coming up next on tonight's show. How cool is it to have Jimmer part of the Paris Olympics in this 3-on-3 competition?
It's just, I mean, it's like this dream come true for me because I was a huge Jimmer fan. Well, I think we all are.
We all are, yeah.
I still go back on YouTube and watch the highlights from the New Mexico game and from the San Diego State game. And just, so I relish the type of game that he plays is so unique. And so to have him part of these Olympics is just fantastic. And so that is probably the number one thing I'm going to look at for these Olympic Games.
That's fun. It's so
Is
fun.
the world ready for Jimmermania? If he pulls off a gold medal, it's just going to get nuts.
Oh yeah. They'll get reintroduced to a wonderful athlete and superb human being.
Yeah.
Which is, like you talked about with Chosich, everybody that Jimmer comes in contact with comes away better, because they have his influence. He's just a good person. And also one of the greatest shooters that's ever played the game, which is a great combination.
Yes. So. Joyce is with us from South America, from Guyana. Palmyra, Guyana, South America. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, it says Palmyra, Guyana, and that's just how you spell Palmyra back in upstate New York.
This is the coolest show. I mean, anybody with Wi-Fi anywhere in the world can hop on and go, hey, we're here.
We have people that join us from Colombia, from South, from Guyana, from the Philippines, from Japan.
From Provo.
All over. And from Provo, from right down the hill. So,
all right, look, Jimmer's going to come on in a minute. You're going to stay and interview him with us. But let's do 5 questions with Fraser.
All guests their first time on the show, and we hope we have you back multiple times. We do 5 questions where you just answer these right off the top of your head. So we're going to start with this. Your favorite sports movie?
Chariots of Fire. Of course, right? The Olympics.
Chariots of Fire. We haven't had a Chariots of Fire in 2 years.
That's a great movie, and nobody's mentioned that one.
There's a moment in there where Eric Riddle is being challenged by his country to run on Sunday. And it's just like, okay, the whole thing stops right there. And how is that going to be resolved? It's an amazing movie.
Chariots of Fire.
You know what? I need to go back and watch that again. I haven't watched that in years. That's a worthwhile go see again movie for sure. All right, number 2, your favorite singer or band?
Well, one of the things that I listen to on the lake, because I like to water ski and everything, is Tears for Fears.
Tears for Fears classic.
Everybody.
That's that's an awesome 80s band.
Yeah, Tears for Fears. AC/DC for that guy.
What's your favorite Tears for Fears song?
Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Yeah. When it comes on the radio, you just have to leave it there.
Welcome to you. Oh, yeah, it's great.
That's good.
Okay, your favorite breakfast cereal. That's probably the most important question.
Oh, favorite breakfast cereal. My wife has a Kashi protein breakfast cereal.
Okay.
You lost me at Kashi.
Yeah.
It's a healthy brand.
Yeah, the protein didn't help me come back.
Because the other person we've had on this show that sat in that chair that also had some heart troubles is the guy everybody knows by the name of Danny Ainge.
Yeah.
And he told us he eats shredded wheat.
Yeah, his wife moved him straight to shredded wheat.
I'm like, shredded wheat? Like the kind without the sugar on it? And he said, yes. I was like, next time just call me. I'll bring over a bale of hay. And
so Kashi, isn't that what George Costanza's dad was eating when he came over and stayed at his house? Wasn't that it?
I will say this: the Kashi is good stuff.
Yep,
like it's good way brand. Better than plain old shredded wheat.
Brand.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to the next one.
Okay, your favorite Olympic moment. This is gonna be hard. I know you've had many, but can you pick out one?
Boy, I've got so many, but I'm going to give you something different.
Okay.
It's a favorite Paralympic moment.
Great. This would be great.
So the Team USA sled hockey team, because they go on sleds because they don't have legs, they were the worst in the world, virtually. And the only reason they qualified for the 2002 games is because we were the host country. And so you're automatically spotted a team. They were so bad. But then they rented a rink back where they lived. They couldn't afford the ice time, so they practiced at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, my goodness.
So they come to Salt Lake City. They're working through their way through the tournament, and they go undefeated. And then they're in the gold medal game with Norway. They go to, it's a tie game. They go to overtime. Stays tied, overtime stays tied. They go into a shootout where each side gets 5 shots. And they won in the shootout 3-2. And the place went wild. It was packed at the E Center, or now the Maverick Center. It was packed. And the amazing accomplishment of these athletes, talk about light the fire within, and inspiring each of us to go from the worst, practicing in the middle of the night, to winning in a shootout. That's my favorite.
That's pretty good.
That needs to be
tough to top.
Miracle's
right
a great movie, but I would think a movie about that would be equally compelling.
Yes.
Somebody needs to make a movie about that.
Yeah, it's a great
that
story.
Miracle was a great movie.
That
pep talk
Miracle's a
before
great
the
movie.
game. That was,
It's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
There was a moment over in Sochi that I'll never forget. The U.S. had won the gold, silver, and bronze. I don't know what it was in, but I went over and actually was watching the medal ceremony when they raised the flags and played the national anthem. And typically they would raise the flag and play everybody's anthem who had won, but they just played the United States anthem once because all three flags went up. So I'm listening to the anthem. I'm standing amidst the neutral crowd, and up come these three American flags, and I'm sitting there going, hey, we're not the home team. This isn't Lavelle Edwards Stadium when the Jets are going to come over and we're going to feel so patriotic. But you felt it amongst people who could care less or were cheering for Belarus or whoever. But they all stood and watched and participated as the three American flags went up and on foreign soil. I just, I'd never even seen or felt that before. It was just interesting, so far away from home.
Well, that's the heart of the games, is you celebrate the achievements of everybody. Mm-hmm. And so we'll have Medals Plaza here, and every night we'll have a celebration of the athletes from around the world and them winning their medals, and people from all over the world will cheer them because they appreciate what they've done and their accomplishments. That's the power of the games, to bring people together and celebrate human achievement.
Yeah,
I love it. It's the great timeout for the world.
Yes,
every couple of years.
Vi Sikamo's over there with us. He was working for a Philadelphia station, and I was working for KSL, and we hung out for 25 days or whatever it was. And he described it too as like a giant family home evening. You start with a prayer, you have an activity, you end with refreshments. There's a closing ceremony. He goes, Heavenly Father has to be a fan of the Olympics for everything you said, because it brings the world together and the world plays together for at least 20, 25 days. And of course, by the time we landed in New York, Russia had mounted up their troops to invade Ukraine, not 24 hours after the torch went out. But for that time stood still.
Yes. And if I may give you an anecdote of something we're going to do for 2034, because we have 10 years, we've got different initiatives that we have, and I have one that I just want to talk about briefly. I asked, so Lindsey Vonn is on our board, 82 World Cup champion and an Olympic champion. I asked her, what's the one thing we could do to make the experience better for the athletes at our games? She said, take care of their families. So we have an Athletes Families Initiative, because many times when an athlete, Olympic trials are going on right now. If my kid gets in, where do I get tickets? Yeah. Where am I going to stay? How am I going to get transportation? We're going to have an Athletes Families Village where families from over 100 countries are going to come, and we're going to facilitate it so they can watch their child compete.
That's never been done.
Never been done. And what better place to do it in the entire world than Utah? An Olympic first. Athletes Families Initiative. Watch for that.
Love it.
Great.
Love it. All
right, Jimmer's on the horn. Let's get to question number 5. Then we'll
this is actually more important than the cereal one. I was kidding about the cereal one. But favorite advice you've ever gotten from your wife, Jennifer?
I would say it's not just advice, it's her example every day, is basically to love everyone around you and serve them, which she does every single day. She's always finding ways to serve other people. She's always kind to other people. When she comes in, her presence is just different. And so I try my best to follow her example. I'm at 30% of where she is, but it's an example I love to see every day.
30% with half a heart is still really good.
It's
You're really
still
giving a
good.
good
Still
effort
good.
there.
It's still good.
Fraser Bullock with us. By the way, our next guest will lead Team USA in the Olympic debut of 3x3 basketball. He's the number 2 all-time leading scorer at BYU. Will occasionally moonlight with us on our BYU basketball coverage on BYU TV and ESPN Plus. Always a joy to welcome Jimmer Fredette to the Wise Guys from his home in Colorado. Jimmer, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're
We're
good.
doing good. We wish you were here with us. I heard you were coming, and now you're in Colorado. But we realize that your schedule's a little bit crazy.
I know. I wish I could be there next time for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we have some moving parts going on right now here in Colorado and getting ready for this 3x3 run.
Hey, Fraser Bullock's going to stay on and help us interview you. And we understand, as Fraser mentioned a moment ago, you guys are going to team up over in Paris for this big announcement, right, Fraser?
Yes, Jimmer, I understand, and I'm so excited you're going to join our official delegation on July 24th in Paris.
Yes, I'm super excited. I just found out, and what an honor for me. I mean, someone to be able to be there and to be able to be a part of the delegation and hopefully receive some amazing news. But we're just excited. I'm excited to be a part of it. So thank you very much. I know that I'm getting a nice new suit, and so I appreciate that as well. So hopefully I'll be looking good for the delegation out there.
Yeah, well, it's the delegation uniform, so you get that. It's a Ralph Lauren uniform. And Jimmer, we know you've got so much going on with everything, and the fact that you're going to take time out to join this very important moment in the history of Utah and be there in person with the IOC and everybody else is just fantastic. So thank you.
Yes, no, of course. Like I said, it's going to be an opportunity for me to have a great experience, and I just love Utah. Obviously, I've had some amazing memories there and love the people there, and just hoping the best for it.
Fraser, what is Jimmer going to have to do as part of this announcement delegation? Jimmer, do you just stand and shake hands, or does he get to sing a song? What do you want Jimmer to do?
Is he part of the presentation?
Great. It's a great question.
Well, actually, there's a presentation with our governor, the mayor, myself, and one other person, where we get to show the best of Utah and some videos and things like that. And we'll do a shout out to our great athletes. And glad Jimmer's there. But then we have a party that night, Jimmer, at USA House. So you're welcome.
Oh, yeah.
And President Bach will be there from the IOC and other people. So if you have time, it'd be great to have that celebration element, because everybody's going to want to meet Jimmer.
No, for sure. I've heard the USA House is going to be amazing as well. I've been hearing some stories about it, what they're doing with it. So super excited about it. I'd love to be able to join everybody there, and I'm there literally to do whatever Fraser wants me to do.
How about that?
I am open
There you
to
go.
anything. I'm a show pony or whatever it is that night.
Jimmer's always been known as being very coachable. So, hey, and Jimmer, we got to fill you in. We asked Fraser to handicap it for us, and here's the what he told us. We're on the 1 yard line going in to score, and there's no defense. There's not another team. So
Yeah.
we're going to celebrate something pretty amazing on that night. So pretty cool.
That's awesome. Can't wait.
Hey, before we let Fraser go, Jimmer, here's this guy that was a BYU student just like you, only a few years earlier, and has come through in the business world and the Olympic world, and has literally changed the world for so many people, especially for Utah and the Olympics. How valuable has a Fraser Bullock been as a BYU alum in this Olympic world?
Oh, amazing. Just been an absolute legend in the space and what he does, with Sorensen, first of all in Utah, and to be able to have that, and then also be a part of the Olympic committee, and to be able to bring the Olympics back to Utah, where it was such a well-run and such a great experience from the people that went to the Olympics. The first time my wife's family was actually able to go to the Salt Lake Olympics, and just had an unbelievable experience. and we're able to trade pins and just have some of the best memories that they've had, as a family doing that. So to be able to have that again is going to be something special. And obviously Fraser has been a huge part of that. He's one of our very big and coveted BYU alum, and I know we have quite a few out there, but he comes right to the top of the list. So we appreciate all you've done, and it doesn't go unnoticed, that's for sure.
Thank you, Jimmer. You're way too kind, and thank you for joining us as part of the delegation, because I can just feel it with your aura and energy. We're a slam dunk to win it.
Let's do it. That's what I'm hoping for.
Hey, we will say, Jimmer, that you'd beat Fraser in a 3-on-3 showdown, but on skis, I think he would get you.
I've never been on skis, so he would destroy me.
Oh, well, he not only has he been on, he's actually been clocked at 79.9 miles per hour on skis.
Wow, that's incredible.
Crazy.
That's insane right there. Wow. I wouldn't feel safe doing that. That's for sure.
Fraser, thank you for being here.
Yes,
and
thanks
the next
so much.
time you and Jimmer are together, you'll be in Paris having the time of your life. So we wish you the very best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time to come in with us tonight. We appreciate it very much.
Appreciate you.
Great Fraser Bullock from Utah's Olympic movement, heading to Paris for a great time, and then 2034. Where's